Ever wonder if that guy on the other end of the line is nothing more than a military scammer? It's an easy thing to happen, and it's good to wonder about it. But it is so easy to do. In fact, researching this video was so much fun. The things that this guy sent me are so out of line and off the wall. I mean, it's totally clear he's a scammer. And the first thing is this is a picture that I downloaded off the internet as the sort of picture that they send you when they're doing a romance scam. And it's got tons of medals and all kinds of little insignia and high rank and this and that. Nice looking guy, nice looking picture. That's all they do. They just download pictures from the internet. I mean, they've downloaded the chief of the Joint Chiefs of Staff before. I've recognized him. I was in the military, in the Air Force for a while. So a lot of this stuff jumped out at me besides what was really obvious. So pay attention, save yourself the trouble, never send these guys money. So almost right after this guy reached out to me, I asked him for a copy of his military ID, which they're not supposed to pass out, specifically because people can doctor them and scam with them. And this is totally doctored, and I'll show you things that you can look for to see if they're doctored or not, inconsistencies and things that don't work out. Here's the first clue. If you look closely at this guy's shoulders and around his neck, you can see when they clipped this picture using Photoshop that they didn't do a good job trimming it out and they were too lazy to go back and erase it with the eraser tool. So anytime there's that's called artifacts, anytime there's little remnants from a picture, you can tell the picture was copied and pasted. Plus, he's wearing civilian clothes. I would think that normally when I had my military ID taken, I was wearing my uniform. This guy's wearing civilian clothes. Okay, so when I asked him what his job was, and this will come up later too, he says he's a 25 uniform, which is a signal support systems specialist. And this job description was cut and pasted right off the internet. If a radio goes down, it's my job to find it and fix it or send it to the right people who can fix it. That's not officer work, that's enlisted work. This guy's claiming his rank as a captain. Captains don't do stuff like that, I can tell you that. Here's another clue. This guy is saying that his pay grade is E7. E is enlisted ranks, and he's saying his rank is captain. Captains are O1, O2. A captain is O3, then O4 and 5 on through majors and generals and all the rest of that. But E is enlisted ranks, and captain is not an enlisted rank. Also notice how blurry this barcode is. His financial situation is really a riot. He doesn't have $1,500, which he quickly was able to reduce to $500 to buy some kind of a ticket or something or the other to get back to the United States. But in the meanwhile, he promises he'll pay it back as soon as he gets to the state. He sends me his account number and his password to his bank account so that I can get in and look at his statement. I'll show you the statement later. He claims to have $4 million in there. Tell me what this military guy is doing with $4 million. But also look at the password, Sun123. A bank would never allow such a weak password as that. So here's the bank statement. What's the bank statement doing with this picture on it? I have never had my picture on a bank statement. But if you look down in the corner, there's $4 million, but it's all in red. And later on, when I looked closer, it said the account was pending. So I don't know how he's getting ready to scam this bank, but he does not have $4 million in there, I can tell you that. So he's down to 500 right now, and if I'll just send it to him, he can refund me 100% guaranteed. He'll refund me the 500 like same day. And I texted him back and I said, why do you need 500 if you're just going to give it back the very same day? He didn't have an answer for that. He kind of glossed over it. And now he's on with the sappy stuff. You tell me what true love and affection is. I love you so much, dear. I need you to know how cheerful I am and how important you are in my life. So he's getting this fluff from the internet and sending it to me. And seeing as how I'm doing this for a story, I decided I would do the same thing. So I went on the internet and found some fluff and sent it back to him about how I look up at the stars each night and imagine he's looking at the same celestial bodies. I got that dribble off the internet and I just copied it and sent it back. Interestingly, he did not recognize what I had done. I find that very interesting. I'll admit that it can be kind of heartwarming to get these pictures of wedding rings and JPEGs of roses and whatnot. When you open your phone in the morning and you look to see if there's a message from them, you get these sappy little messages. It is kind of heartwarming and it does make you feel good. I can understand why romance scams work as well as they do. But just bear in mind that these guys are working you. This is a job to them. And the reason it's on your phone first thing in the morning is because it's daylight over in Africa or wherever it is that they're scamming you from. So they send it overnight, but it's daytime where they're sending them from. And they're working you. They send you these little things to reinforce how nice they make you feel. So when they hit on you for money a couple of days later, you're like, oh, honey, anything you want, I'll help you out with. So use caution. So now this guy needs an extra stash of money to pay his hospital bills. So he's got this totally staged picture of himself in some medical setting. It is a medical setting, but the picture is totally staged. And you can tell by the fact on his right arm, there are three EKG patches. And only, first off, you don't put them on somebody's shoulder. You put them across their heart so you can see what their heart is doing. They don't measure what your shoulder is doing. But secondly, only one of them has leads on it. The other two don't even have leads on them. They're just sitting there. And he's got this huge honking bandage on his left chest like he was shot or something. And I asked him what his injury was, and he said he tripped when he was loading his bags into the airport. It's like when you trip, unless you fall on, I mean, what do you have to fall on to need that big of a band-aid on your chest? So this was totally staged so that he could hit on me for money. Plus, look at that big grin he's got on his face. When you're in the emergency room for heart problems and gunshot wounds and broken arms, I don't think you're going to be grinning quite like that. So that was a clue, too. This guy is unbelievable. This project was so much fun. I'll let you look this over. This is just here for the poor grammar for you to look at. English is obviously not this guy's first language, so he's doing the best he can, but the grammar gives him away. This is the picture that I showed you at the beginning on the thumbnail. I downloaded it from the internet. Just Google military general and go under images, and there's dozens of them. You can just pick any one you want, download it, and make a fake profile, and happy hunting. So sorry this picture didn't turn out very well, but he's asking me for my home address so that he can send me flowers and send me a check and send me this and that. But he wants my home address. It's like, no, I don't even think so. I'm not sending my home address over to somebody in Africa. Who knows what he's going to do with it? Don't give out any personal information. And here's some more drivel about how much he loves me. This guy really pours it on sappy. Little JPEG pictures of wedding rings and roses. I mean, he laid it on thick. It was laughable. Another thing you'll notice is that after the first or second email, they stop calling you by name. You're always honey and dear and sweetie. And the reason is that way they don't have to worry about calling you the other name of somebody else that they're working. You got to bear in mind, these guys are working like 40 and 50 women at a time. They don't have time to keep track of everybody's name. So if they just say dear and honey and sweetie and whatever, they don't have to worry about calling you the wrong name. But notice that they never call you by your name after the first or second text or contact. Here's another shot of the text with the account number and the password, and a little bit above where the screenshot ends is the link to go into his bank. So he sent me that, a total stranger, to an account with supposedly $4 million in it. It's like, right. This one's a riot too. This is supposedly his orders for him to go on leave or whatever. First off, you'll notice it's all written in caps, which is not the way people write. Secondly, you'll notice the poor grammar. Third, it says he's going to get locked up if he doesn't go on leave. If he doesn't go on leave, he'll get locked up, which first off is not an expression that you use. And secondly, you don't get locked up in the military if you don't take your leave. This is a riot, it really is. Another interesting mistake that they've made is that they're saying that Washington, D.C. is in the state of Washington, which it is not. It's just Washington, D.C., USA. But they have accidentally put the state as Washington, which Washington, D.C. is not in the state of Washington. So that really jumped out at me as well. Weak geography. So now this guy is a senior HON, whatever that is, and Secretary of Civilian Aid. What happened to being the radio repair guy? Now he's a Secretary of a Civilian Aid. I guess he can't remember what he did. So my parting words to you is these romance scammers are easy to spot. Just be careful and don't send them any money. There is no reason that they should need any money. They don't need to bribe customs officials. They don't need to pay to get out of the country. They don't need commercial airline tickets. They're going to fly over on a military transport. They don't have to buy their own ticket. They don't need money for food, and they don't need money for all these other silly things that they send you. They're just preying on people's love for the military, and you think if you get a military person, you're going to get an honest person. So it's low hanging fruit for these people to scam older people in particular. And they generally find profiles of people, and you can search on all this. They look for widowed people with either no children or no grown children. And if you fit this gullible category, they will be on you like there's no tomorrow. So if you're going to do online dating, just be careful of these guys.